Soft life is not just about luxury, it's about freedom, peace, and power. And guess what? You don't need a million of rands to start building it. In today's video, I'm sharing soft money tips for women who are done stressing about bills and who are ready to feel good about their finances. These are habits that keep your wallet happy without sacrificing your style, your joy, and your soft girl era. Hi guys, how's it going? It's Laratum Check and welcome back to my YouTube channel. As I have mentioned, I will be sharing 10 realistic money management tips for women. And number one, you need to know your numbers even if they scare you. You cannot fix what you don't face. You need to be brutally honest with yourself. How much do you earn? How much do you owe? And how much do you spend? Remember, knowledge is power. When you have an idea what your numbers look like, what your income is, what your expenses are, how much your debt is, and how much your net worth is, you are taking control of your finances. You are taking control of your life. And you cannot lead what you avoid. Understanding your money helps you make informed decisions. If you now want to pay off that debt, if you have no idea how much that debt amounts to, you are never going to succeed at taking it off. If you don't know how much you have in your savings, if you don't know how much you spend, it is going to be difficult for you to manage your money. Remember, money management is about using your money wisely to build wealth and achieve financial freedom. So if you have no idea what your numbers look like, you will believe that it is impossible for you to achieve financial freedom. And knowing your numbers avoid financial dependence. And this is something that is quite important. Oftentimes we say we want to be financially independent, but we are still financially dependent. And that is because we have no idea what our numbers are looking like. If you have clarity about your finances, you can build freedom and have options. This will give you the courage to move away from toxic work environments, toxic relationship, or just uncomfortable situations. And at the end of the day, it's about building financial confidence. This is quite important. And I feel that for women, this should be a thing. Because what I have realized is that as women who chase this financial stability, we end up being so much in survival mode that we forget to be present with ourselves. We forget to be soft. But if you are clear about your finances, trust me, you are going to be very much confident because you will be knowing how much you have in your savings and you are never going to doubt if you can leave a situation that you are uncomfortable about. You are never going to doubt if you are able to leave that toxic work environment. And that is the confidence that I am talking about. And this also helps with setting clear money goals. For example, if you have a goal of saving 50,000 at the end of the year, if you know that by end of July, you're going to have 30,000, you know that you have 20,000 to go until you achieve your financial goal. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is to know your numbers. And if you have never done this, the good thing is you are only going to build this system once. You're just going to have that one sit down with the numbers on your laptop or your notebook, and you are going to do it only once because from there you will be clarified about your numbers. And secondly, have a budget that reflects your life. You know, most times when we talk about budgeting, we just throw it out of proportion and make it sound like it's something that is so scary because we think you only have to focus on the most important things and this being your needs, but you have to factor in your wants in your budget. Because at the end of the day, your budget has to reflect your life. If you value education, you need to have that in your budget. If you value beauty, if you value fashion, you have to make a provision for that in your budget. You cannot neglect those areas of your life, especially if they give you life. I know somebody who values education so much, and when I have learned that this guy has an education fund that he puts in there almost 500 every month, my mind was blown away because this is something that we don't often get to think about, you know, because when we think about our budgets, we just think, oh, it has to be only rent, food, transport to work, you know, those kind of things. We never think about the fact that it has to include every single thing that you value. And this is why I often say that we should not deprive ourselves of the things that make us feel alive. Yes, we have to be financially responsible. Yes, we have to be the adults who are just responsible, but we cannot turn a blind eye on the fact that we do need to cater for our wants. At the end of the day, we should not always be in survival mode all the time. We need to live a little. And if you have no idea how to go about this, you can just simply follow the money rules, where 50% of your income goes to your needs, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes to your savings and investments. This can be quite a great start. Then as time moves on, you can just make a few adjustments there that align with your goals. And number 3, build a soft life fund. This being the emergency fund. Tell you what, getting out of survival mode will force you to build systems that are going to get you to be in your soft girl era at all times. If you know that you have the soft life fund, you will be ready to take on anything that life throws at you. Because if you have no soft life fund, then you are most likely to stress should any emergency arise, and that cannot be your life. So this fund is not only just about emergencies, it is for peace. And the peace that comes with knowing that you have that financial stability and you can take on anything is unmatched. Believe me, is unmatched. So you need to go and start building that emergency fund from scratch. If you have not started, just understand what that can do for you and understand what that means for you. Oftentimes, we don't get to succeed with achieving certain goals, especially money related, because we have no idea what that can do for you, and we get to be so obsessed with spending money because at least you know that if you have spent on sneakers, you are going to feel good now. But think about it, this is you investing in the peace that the future you will need. And this all boils down to self-love. You need to love yourself so much that you must care about yourself in all the phases of life. So go build that emergency funds, and it does not even have to be a lot of money. If you are able to just save 500 every month, start there. You don't need to start off by having a lot of money left for you to put in your savings to start with building this emergency funds. Every cent counts, and every cent can save you in the future. And the rule with emergency funds is that you only need to save at least 3 months worth of your living expenses. If your expenses are 5,000, you need 15,000 at the very least. And listen, it does not matter how long it's going to take you to get 15,000. As long as at the end of the day, one day you will hit that number, just to work towards it. And just have something to save every month. You know, in South Africa, most people are not saving. And you will think it's a lie, but people are living in so much debt and are unable to save. So that 100 rands that you feel like is not a lot, it can go a long way, and it can get you started with building your emergency funds. And number 4, in your budget, create a guilt-free spending line. This is my absolute favorite because I always have this in my budget, because I want to have that amount of money that I don't feel like I have to account for, you know, because I look at my income and I account for all my expenses that are very much important, right? And in those expenses, actually, I even cater for, you know, girl maintenance, nails, hair, what else? Facial products, I cater for those. So whatever I am left with after that comes to me, and I call it guilt-free expenditure. This is the money that I can just spend without feeling like doing something wrong. You need that, because this money will allow you to feel that you are enjoying your money. And that is the bottom line. We have to enjoy our money. Listen, we work so hard. We wake up in the morning in this cold, we go to work. So there is no way that our lives can just be about going to work and paying our bills and not enjoying our money, even if it's, you know, a tiny bit of it. And it does not have to be a lot of money, you know, for the guilt-free expenditure. Just ask yourself, what is that one thing that make you feel good? If it's going out for coffee, that cannot be expensive. Just set aside maybe 200 and make sure that you go to your nearest coffee shop that you can probably walk to, and just take a walk, go there, sit down, have your coffee and enjoy yourself and just have a nice time. So you don't need to have a lot of money for the guilt-free expenditure, but this, quite important. You have to enjoy your money and you have to be intentional about it. And number 5, start investing, even if it's with 100 rands. Listen, most women don't have the tolerance that investing requires. And I've talked a bit about this in my previous video. You can go check it out. Women, we like safety, and there is nothing wrong with us wanting safety because, at least that makes us feel, I believe, more responsible and just safe, I guess. But if you are somebody who wants to build wealth, you have to get out of your comfort zone. I know we love saving, we have a lot of money saved, but saving is not going to get you there. Investing will get you there. And if you have no idea how to start with investing, you can go look at my previous video. I touch on 10 important things that you need to know before you start with investing. And as women, we have to get away with the idea that risk is for men. Listen, it's 2025. We have things called exchange traded funds. These are ETFs, and these are the safest ever, actually. And as a woman, you can get started with investing by investing in ETFs. And on the 21st of July, it was a Monday, as somebody who invests in ETF, I received dividends that amounted to almost 600. And I did not have to break a bone or stress about the company, the stress that you would have if you were investing in an individual company. I did not have to stress about that. What I was just doing was to put money in those ETFs and just chill and wait for dividend payments date. And they came. On Monday, I got paid. And listen, it felt so good. Honestly, I felt like, I'm responsible, like I'm that girl. Felt like I'm that girl because what do you mean I received dividends? And honestly, this is going to sound crazy, but all the time when I receive dividends, I really felt like I could go to, a car dealership and just get there and, kick on those tires and just be like, I want this one. I feel like that all the time. I love dividends, and tell you what, you don't need to be an investment expert for you to get started with investing. You don't need to. ETFs are built in a way that even somebody who has no idea what investing is all about can get started with investing. Because the problem with individual companies, if I am going to compare individual companies with ETFs, is that with individual companies, you take your money and you are betting on one company that something can happen to it and you can lose all your money. And by something happening, let's use COVID as an example. A lot of companies during COVID, they had to close down because we were on a shutdown. That affected the business. But now, if you put your money in an ETF, you could find that this ETF has 500 companies, that maybe one company can be affected. But obviously, if it's COVID, it's going to affect most companies. But if maybe it's something that is not like COVID, like that, maybe one company is going to be affected. You now have 499 other companies that are still working for you. Your money is still working even if that one company is not doing good. And I have made videos on ETFs that are for growth and for investing. You can go check them out. And you can get started with those ETFs. And what you have to do is put money in there every month or whenever you can and let it sit there for a lot of years. You don't have to worry about it. The thing with individual companies is that you have to check their earnings reports to check if this company is still a quality company, if the fundamentals have not changed. But with ETFs, actually, you get to relax and just let money work for you. And you can start off by maybe opening a tax-free savings account. This is where you are not paying taxes on the money that you are making with shares. I love it so much because we pay so much in taxes. I'm pretty sure one day there's going to be some breathing tax where you just breathe and then you get taxed, because there is no way that we pay so much in taxes. So in that account, you pay 0 taxes. If you receive dividends of 1,000 rands, it all comes to you. That money is all yours and Uncle SARS is not touching it. So I would say start with opening a tax-free savings account. Number 6, say no to debt that buys impressing power. You have no business impressing people by taking loans. You have no business doing that. It is not a wise financial move. You should not be taking debt to fund your lifestyle. There are people that owe a lot, with this account. Somebody commented on my TikTok video to say she owes TGF 7K and she has 6K in her savings. She was asking if she should take the 6K and pay off the debt and then will start building her savings from scratch. Imagine putting yourself in so much stress actually, where you could have avoided by lay buying. There's an option to lay buy. You could potentially save for whatever item that you want to buy. You can save up for it because at the end of the day, you are going to get that item. And I don't think clothes should be prioritized like that, where you even have to go and take debt. You can lay buy. There is that option. At the end of the day, that item is going to belong to you. So never ruin your finances trying to fund a lifestyle. You can love fashion all you want, but do you have means to fund that? Store accounts, going to get credit cards, and there's payment solutions called Pay Just Now. They look like freedom, but later become chains that are going to bind you, and it's going to be difficult for you to get out of that cycle. Listen, if you cannot afford it now, it's okay to wait. It's okay to wait. Patience is everything. Patience is very much important where money is concerned. Because if you fail to be patient, you will find yourself in deep debt one day. So say no to debt. And if you have debt already, prioritize paying off that debt first. Then move to saving money. Then move to investing your money. You cannot just jump to saving and investing and forget about your debt. Remember, it's accumulating interest. So you are actually working backwards. If now your interest is accumulated by 200 and then your interest from your savings or dividends from your investments amounts to 200, that is zero. The effect there is zero. So pay off your debt first. And if you are confused like that person who has 6K in their savings and they owe TGF 7K, you have no idea what to do, I would say leave your savings as they are. Right? Because should anything happen, we don't want you going back to debt. And then from whatever income you have, make those minimum repayments. And remember, this is going to affect your credit score. So keep that in mind. When you just go and take debt and don't even take care of it, you are ruining your credit score and you are actually ruining a tool that can build wealth for you. So a credit score should be taken care of. And number 7, check in with your money weekly. This has become my absolute favorite. I have started doing this and I love it so much because it gives me clarity and it makes me feel that I'm in control of my finances. And money can give one anxiety. So if you are not intentional about managing it, you are going to be anxious all the time and you are not doing yourself justice, especially as a woman, because the goal is to be a soft girl. So have those money check-in, maybe on a Sunday. Just dedicate an hour where you just sit down, look at how much you have spent in the previous week, update your budget where you compare the budgeted figures and the actual figures and see how much you still have to spend on whatever line item in your budget. And that helps you prepare for the coming week to know if you have room to be spending on food, on outings, or whatever it is. At least you have an idea that, oh, if I do this, I'm gonna be over budget. And if I keep with this pace, I'm going to be under budget and I'm going to take that money and put it into my savings and investment. That gives you so much control and that gives you peace. So normalize having that weekly money date where you update your budget to say, I have spent this much, I haven't spent on this one, and what could be the reason. So plan for that week ahead by having weekly money check-ins. And number 8, talk about money with other women. Having a community is quite important, even if it's your friend. But have money talks with someone who's going to understand you, who you are going to learn from, and who is going to force you to do better with your money. And sometimes when we don't talk about our finances, especially if our situations are messy, we just end up believing that we are the only ones who are going through a financial difficulty. But if you normalize having conversation, you actually get to realize that, oh, I'm not the only one. And somebody has went through the very same thing and they got out of the situation by doing this, that, and the third. But if you just keep it to yourself, you are drowning and you are not helping yourself. And you'll also learn a lot. Somebody can tell you that, oh, put your money into this investment and you're going to make this much. So having that community, having money conversations will help you to get out of debt, to max out your savings, to invest your money and grow your money, and ultimately build wealth. So normalize having money conversations. And there is no point in feeling ashamed about your finances. Listen, if you think your situation is the worst, trust me, it's not. And don't ever feel like it's the worst that you are never going to get out of. Listen, people have had debts that amount to 300 million and they got out of those debts. So believe that even yourself, you can get out of that situation. You just need to be committed and intentional and go seek help. Just keeping quiet is not going to help you. And if maybe you don't want your friend to know, you don't feel comfortable talking to your friend, get help, get professional help. But speak to someone about money. I love talking about money. I love money conversations, and this helped me a lot actually. Sometimes as a person, in as much as you can be financially responsible and financially disciplined, you get to get off track sometimes. But when you have this money conversations and you consume money content, you get to come back to your senses and remember that, listen, you are on a path of financial stability. You have this financial goal that you have set at the beginning of the year, and this is where you are. So that forces you actually to check in with your finances and to make sure that you are staying on track. So never underestimate the power of having money conversations or consuming personal finance content or money content. There is power in getting that knowledge. And number 9, protect your money with boundaries. Listen, say no. You will not die. Just say no and be at peace. Set limits with family, with friends, with your partners. Set limits and understand that you are not being selfish. You are prioritizing your financial goals. That is you being secure. That is not selfishness at all. And you know what? We live in a world where takers just take, and that's all that they know. They don't know when to stop. So if you lack financial boundaries or just boundaries generally, you are going to be the victim all the time in the name of being a kind person. You are helpful, you are resourceful. There is nothing wrong with that. Have limits. Help people, but have limits. If you have no financial boundaries, you will see yourself going to get debt because I came to you and I have asked for 1,000 rands. But because you don't know how to say no, you don't even want to train yourself on how to say no. You're just going to say, oh no, I'll give you, knowing very well that you have no money. Just do not. For me, how I deal with this is whatever money that I'm going to give someone must come off my guilt-free expenditure. And if you're asking for 400 and I have 300, I can't afford to help you. I don't care how much I have in my savings. That money is for my future me, and I'm not going to borrow it to you. And when it comes to my investments, I don't touch my investments. That boundary even applies to me. So I will never allow somebody to inconvenience me financially. Those are my financial boundaries. And again, don't ever feel like you need to over-explain yourself. Just say no, and you know why. Just say, oh, I'm not balancing, and keep it moving. And the truth is, you are not balancing because you don't have that amount readily available to give to that person. Unless if when you do your budgets, you just, put a line to say, should somebody come borrow money, this is where I'm going to take the money and give them. If you have that line item in your budget, then 100%. You can maybe not tighten your financial boundaries, but boundaries are very much important, and you cannot not have them because your financial progress is going to be hindered all the time. So learn to say no, don't justify it. It's your financial boundary and keep it moving. And number 10, celebrate progress, not perfection. Listen, after paying off that account, go buy yourself a cocktail or mocktail, take yourself out for coffee, just celebrate those small wins. You know, I was having a convo with my friend just a few weeks back that sometimes we forget to celebrate ourselves. Sometimes we forget to celebrate those little things. Actually, not those little things, those things that we believe are little, but in actual fact, they are not. So learn to celebrate every single thing that you achieve in your life. Closing off that account is an achievement because that gives you room to build wealth. That is a huge achievement. Celebrate, you know. Have you maxed out your TFSA? Celebrate. Have you maxed out your emergency funds? Celebrate. Thank yourself because listen, it took discipline. It took you saying no to yourself to achieve that financial goal. And that is a financial goal. Maybe you are not aware of it, you don't see it that way because maybe you were not intentional about it to write it down to say, or at the end of the year, this is what I want to achieve financially. Maybe you haven't, but best believe that is a financial goal and that is a huge achievement, and you have to celebrate yourself for achieving that goal. And those are the 10 money management tips that I have for you. Remember, you are responsible for getting yourself out of survival mode and lead yourself into the soft girl era, just being that soft woman. And that requires you actually to always be at peace, and you have to build systems that guarantee you that peace. And with the finances, that start off with you having a budget, building emergency funds, investing. It's those simple things that you might think are the biggest thing, maybe because you have not faced your fears or you are not so honest with yourself about where you are financially. But once you get the hang of things, trust me, it's going to be a soft ride for you. So go get your money right and never stress about money, and guarantee yourself that peace because nobody's coming to save you. You are responsible for your financial life. So go get it together. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.